Hey guys, this is Abidan Martinez going over my code review for week 5. Um, so I'm just going to be going over the login and user ID creation with password. Um, and this is for the inventory management project with my partner Christopher Quinto. Here we have several functions to make it more efficient to store code in. Um, Basically we're calling the first function get login. We're not calling it, but we're creating the function get login name that takes in first, last name, and ID number. Basically what it's just doing is it's taking whatever the user entered in the main one function down here. It's going to be getting that first 3 letters, so from 0 to 2, right, because it stops right before 3 right here. Same thing for the last name, and then for the ID number, it's just taking the last 3 from the end. And then what it's doing at the end here, it's concatenating all 3 sets and then storing them into login name and then returns that value. And then we move on to main one function. This is where it actually asks the user for the inputs for first name, and while it's asking for those inputs, it's doing a little validation check just to see if the user's entering numbers instead of letters. It gives you that little error message if you do, and it's going to keep doing that in a while loop until you actually enter the correct one. And then it's going to do the same thing for last name, and then for the ID number, it's going to check if you're actually entering letters instead of numbers. And if you are, then it's going to keep asking you until you enter the correct input. Towards the end of that main one function, then it's going to print your login name, and here you're calling the login name function with the 3 parameters that the user enters. That's going to return that value. Right here, we're calling that function main one and then storing it into a variable. And then we got the next function right here to validate the password that the user is going to enter. We're not calling and we're not asking for the user input yet here. This is just validating it's taking in the user password that he entered, and then it's going to validate in this function. So all these 4 requirements, correct length, uppercase letter, lowercase letter, and digit, they're all set to false at first. But basically we go down here to this if statement. If the password is at least 7 characters or more, then it's going to be marked as true, set to true. And then the next thing it's going to do is in that same if statement, we're going to run a for loop right here. And it's going to be checking if any of the characters that the user entered either has at least 1 uppercase letter, 1 lowercase letter, and 1 digit, and it's going to mark it to true. All 4 of these requirements have to be true for it to be saved as true, and it's still right here as valid. And otherwise, it's marked as false, and it's going to return as valid value. And then in main 2, we're pretty much asking the user for the password, and it's going to call the valid password function, right, with the input right here that it's asking the user for the password. While the password is false, it's going to run this error with all the requirements that it's asking for. Until then, if it's entered incorrectly, all the requirements, then it's going to give you a successful message, right? And it's going to call that main function 2 here and store it into the variable. And then the final validation check, we're using another function here, a valid with 2 parameters with login and password. It's basically checking if the created login and created password equals the login and password here, because we will be calling it again, just like in any program that you've seen, like Facebook, Instagram. It's going to be asking for login and password, and it's going to check if they match what you created. Basically, if either login or password don't match, right, then it's going to keep running the loop, right, until it's entered correctly. And until then it'll be marked true, and it will actually let you enter the interface right here. And the main interface is run on the while loop, so it's calling the valid function, and until it's true, then it's going to give you that message. So I'm going to go ahead and run it real quick since I only got 30 seconds left. Right, if you enter any digits for the first name, it's going to give you that message. Same thing with last name. And then the ID, if you enter letters, then it's going to give you that message. Right. And then if for the password, you got to have all the requirements. If it's all letters and no numbers, give you that message. So all numbers and no letters, right? So basically I have one capital letter, one lowercase letter, and numbers. You can enter one number at least, and then the length, right? More than seven characters, and it's created successfully. So then we're gonna do one more final login, or the main login, I guess per se. And then you can always check your login at the top when you created it because it printed out for us. Oh, looks like I entered it wrong. All right, so it's going to keep on doing that until it's entered correctly. 8949. And there you go. So it quits after it's basically entered correctly. But basically, you guys couldn't see it because I run it in the command prompt, but it would print this little message here: Inventory Management System Welcome Manager. That's pretty much it, guys. Everything's documented. All the comments here pretty much explain to you what the code does. But I think it's pretty clear. I mean, especially because I'm the one who coded it. But I didn't do this all by myself. Christopher also had a part in it as well, as far as commenting most of the code here. So thank you, and let me know what you guys think.